Hey guys, hope everyone had a great Tuesday. Spent it kicking ass and taking names, hopefully. Um, so the workout for Wednesday. Oh, I just realized I forgot to write the warm up on the board. Well, you can probably guess what it's going to be. The workout for tomorrow is going to be a little strength training session, more or less, or muscle endurance, I suppose. But the idea is you're going to spend a minute doing as many reps as possible of the Bulgarian split squat for your right leg. When the minute is up, you're going to rotate to the bent over row for your right arm. Then you're going to do a minute of glute bridges for your right leg. Then a minute of presses into push presses. So the way that'll work, you'll do as many strict presses with your dumbbell as you possibly can within the minute. Once you can no longer do strict presses, you'll switch to push presses to finish out the minute. So just get as many reps as you can while hopefully going unbroken. And then you'll take a minute break, and you'll repeat the entire thing for your left side. Take a minute break, do it again for the right. You're going to do 3 sets total for each side. Let's go over the movements. The warm-up will be to stretch and then, of course, practice each of the movements, despite what it says on the board, or what it doesn't say. So for the Bulgarian split squat, the idea is that you are elevating your back foot on some kind of elevated surface. It could be a chair, a small box, a couch, a bench, whatever you have access to. Ideally, though, it's not so high that it forces excessive stretch in that back leg and forces you ultimately to hyperextend in your back. So when you do it, you want, call it a, 15 to 18 inch surface, something like that. Even 12 inches would be fine. Kick the opposite leg out in front, the working leg. You should be able to lower down such that the back knee touches the floor, push through the front foot back to standing. And you can see my torso kind of leans forward slightly, so I'm not trying to stay upright and end up overextending in my back. So just lean forward slightly, keep the belly tight, keep the back just nice and straight. So ultimately, your torso should basically be perpendicular to your shin in that bottom position. So a minute there. If you want to add weight to that in the form of a dumbbell, you can hold a dumbbell in your hand. You can hold 2 dumbbells in your hand. You can hold a dumbbell in the rack position. I would recommend trying your first set with body weight, see how it feels. If you feel confident you could add some weight to it on set 2, go for it. If you can go a minute straight of the split squat, you're probably not going to need a ton of weight to make that challenging. And do it nice and controlled. It's not, you're not racing through it and bouncing your knee off the ground or anything. Just nice, controlled, deliberate reps the whole time. As soon as that minute is up, you'll have your dumbbell handy or a kettlebell handy, whatever you're going to be using for weight. The bent over row, the way it's designed to be done is with about shoulder width stance. Think of it like kind of like a 3-point stance in football. You want to set up kind of like that, so your feet are slightly staggered, your hips and shoulders are square, back is flat. Your opposite arm is resting on top of your thigh. So basically rest the elbow on the thigh. The arm starts straight. The dumbbell can either start on the ground or slightly off the ground. Doesn't really matter. Pull the dumbbell back towards your hip and then lower back down under control. And just repeat for as many reps as possible in a minute. And in that pull, again, the idea is pull back towards the hip as opposed to pulling into your armpit. So you don't want your shoulder hiking up. You don't want to turn it into a bicep curl. Think about keeping the shoulder down and back, pull back towards the hip, and squeeze the lat muscle. And try to minimize, of course, the use of the torso and the hip to gain momentum. Towards the end of the minute, if you start fatiguing and you want to crank out a couple extra reps, that's fine. But try to stay nice and strict with your technique. Keep that torso nice and still. The glute bridge for your right leg, I'll demonstrate it. You're going to lay flat on your back. The left leg will be extended out in front, so just keep it straight. Basically keep the knees level. The arms are at your side with the palms up towards the sky, just so you're not pressing too hard into the ground for assistance. And you're just going to elevate the hips by driving the right heel into the floor. Squeeze the glutes on that right side nice and hard. Lower back down, and then repeat. And you're not going super fast. Just think about holding the top for a second or two every rep, and lower back down under control. Okay? So try to work for the full minute. And then the press, push press. So grab your dumbbell. Start out with strict presses, so standing. You can keep your feet next to one another. You could even stagger them if you wanted to, if that's more comfortable. Start with strict presses all the way up, under control, back to the shoulder. Once you can no longer do them, if you can do them the whole minute, you stay with that. If you have to go to push presses, then just switch to the push press to close out the minute. Take the minute break, switch to the other side. And you can kind of see the theme here. It's not really conditioning work, so you're not just trying to crank out reps as fast as possible. Rather, you're trying to keep tension on the muscles for the entire minute in a nice, deliberate fashion. So try to minimize momentum. Try to keep technique nice and tight. Nice, controlled, deliberate reps, and just try to keep working for the full minute rather than just cranking out as many reps as possible. Any questions, guys, related to modifications, substitutions, scaling options, feel free to reach out or, of course, hop on a Zoom class. And we could, of course, take care of you guys there in person or virtually in person, quasi in person, via the internet. I think that's it, guys. We'll see. We'll hear from you guys tomorrow. Good night. Thanks.